Hello everyone, it's Ranger at 64, and welcome back to another League of Legends lore reading video. Today, we will be reading Vi's short story, Interrogation 101. Vi stifled a yawn as she moved through the gilded chamber at the heart of Piltover's Hall of Law. Dawn was less than an hour old, and the place was quiet. A few drunks were sleeping it off in the shaming cells, and she'd heard there were a couple of chem-augmented thugs in the deeper, more secure lockups. She'd asked around later, see if she could provide any insight as to what they were doing up in Piltover. She rolled her shoulders. The muscles were stiff after a hard night's work. And it had been a long shift, and her forearms were aching from the pressure of her powered gauntlets. All she wanted to do was go back home, get them off, and bathe her fists in ice water. Maybe throw back a few glasses of something strong and sleep some, but the immunia tube from Caitlin had been full of impertavious about getting herself down to the district house on the double. Vi had cooked an eyebrow, tossed the message, and gave it an hour before leaving her cramped home in the dressmaker's quarter to answer Caitlin's summons. Hey! Hey, you, yeah. Hey. Aknor, she said to the desk warden when she reached the cells. What's so important about Caitlin has to drag me from the erotic dream about, stop right there, said Harcourt, without looking up from his elevated desk, as he ran a finger down the list of prisoners brought in during the night. I'm not in the mood to hear another of your lubricant fantasies. You sure? Grinned Kate, leaning on his desk, Vi and blowing a loose strand of pink hair from her own very eyes. This was a good one. I had a plot and everything. Quite sure, said Harcourt, looking away and holding out the charge sheet. Caitlin and Mohan brought in a Hextech thief at last night. He hasn't said a word to anyone, but she thinks you might be able to get him to talk. Vi arched an eyebrow as she scanned the page. Deveki, you've been a very naughty boy, she said, rolling her eyes and curling her mantled fingers into a fist. Yeah, Devaki and I knew each other back in the day. I'll get him to talk. Harcourt shook his head, saying, Listen, Vi, I don't want to have to call the surgeon back here again. Caitlin wants this fella to be able to speak when he goes before the prosecutor. Where is she, anyway? She hasn't even said here, or even a hello here. Chasing down a lead at the docks, said Harcourt. She said she figured out you could handle this one on your own. She's wrong about that, is she? Nope, said Vi, turning the sassy saying towards the cells. Which cell Deveki's in? Number 6. But remember, he's got to be able to talk. Vi nodded and said, Yeah. She reached cell 6, slid back the lock bar. Normally, another warden would secure the door, but Vi didn't need anyone at her back. She knew Deveki from the old days, even worked with him a few times before the job with the factory wood fiends went bad. Deveki was a thief, not a fighter, and if she needed backup to retrain his scrawny frame, then it was time to find a new line of work. Devaki was sitting on the edge of the chipped hunk of stone they called a bed, with his back to the wall and his knees drawn up to his chest. He cradled one arm close to his body, the limb ending at the bandage stump where his hand ought to be. He looked up as she entered, and his eyes widened in surprise. Vi? Piltover's finest, she said with a petite curtsy that, despite where he sat, made Devaki smile. What happened to your hand? Your damn sheriff shot it off, he said. What happened to yours? Well, I got an upgrade, said Vi, holding up her Hextech gauntlets. They hummed with a low buzz, and she turned them around to let Devaki see just how powerful they were. Fully customizable with variant levels of hurt. I can punch through walls with these babies. Yeah, I heard what happened to the ecliptic volts, said Devaki with an easy smile, as if he was talking to the old Vi, the Vi from the lanes. He wasn't bright enough to know that Vi wasn't the one standing in front of him. Devaki held the arm ending in a stump. I'm gonna need an upgrade too. This was a high-end augment from Brazo. That sheriff didn't need to shoot it off. You can bill her, said Vi, closing the distance between them in 2 strides, and lifting Devaki's off his feet. She threw him against the opposite wall, rattling his bones, and sending plaster dust billowing into the air. Devaki slid to the floor, shocked and gasping for a breath. They've been playing nice so far, but now they send in you? What gives? I'm the one they send in when asking. All polite doesn't get you anywhere, Cupcake, said Vi, letting the power build in her gauntlets. I'm the one who'll go to town on you with these beauties, you see? Unless, of course, you tell me what I want to know. Whoa, 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 wait, Vi, what are you doing? Spluntered Deveki, holding his remaining hand out before him as he scrambled to his feet. I'm interrogating you. What does it look like? But you haven't asked me anything. Vi cocked her head to the side. Yeah, I should probably get to that. She reached down and hauled Deveki onto his feet, applying a growing pressure to his shoulder. So, who was gonna buy that stolen Hextech? Devaki winced in pain, but didn't give an answer. Come on, you're tougher than that, said Vi, releasing his bruised shoulder. You want to see what happens to a face when I don't pull my punches? No, 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 cried Deveki. Then tell me what I want to know. I can't. Vi tapped a finger on his chin, as if weighing whenever to punch him again. She smiled, the expression worrying Deveki more than the thought of her fists. Be a shame if a word got round the lanes that you'd been informing on all your criminal friends for the last couple of years. What? Said Devaki, splintering in pain and indignation. That's a lie! Of course it is, said Vi. But I know all the right people to talk to down there. A lot of folk listen if it I slipped it that you're in the warden's pocket. I'll be dead in a day if you do that, protested Deveki. Now you're catching on, said Vi. Tell me what I want to know. I'll make sure it gets about you resisted arrest, even give you a black eye so it looks like I don't know, I beat you up or some. Deveki's shoulders slumped, knowing he had no defiance left in him. Fine, fine. I'll tell you what I want you to know. Excellent, said Vi. Now we're getting somewhere.